Johnny Depp was alleged by Amber Heard to have been sort of in their divorce filings to have been physically and emotionally, verbally abusive to her during the course of their marriage. And as a result, when he was cast as Grindelwald in the upcoming Fantastic Beasts movie, there was a lot of pushback, and a lot of folks were and continue to be very upset by these accusations. And I completely understand this. If you're somebody who has survived that kind of situation yourself, to see somebody who is said to have perpetrated those sorts of crimes in such a high-profile position, that could be very triggering to you, and I completely get that. So Fantastic Beasts director David Yates and J.K. Rowling have both come out in Depp's defense in terms of his involvement in the movie. It doesn't look like anything's going to change in terms of, we're not going to see a situation where we're going to see Christopher Plummer taking over like in the case of Kevin Spacey. However, Daniel Radcliffe has come out and spoken about the controversy himself. He said that it's a very hard thing for him personally to reconcile, and he can see. He says, "I can see why people are frustrated with the response that they were given from that." He goes on to say, "I'm not saying that anything that anybody hasn't already said. It's a weird analogy to draw, but in the NFL, there are lots of players arrested for smoking weed. There's a lot of other people's behavior that goes way beyond that. It's tolerated because they're very famous players." Honestly, so here's sort of my thought on this. I was never going to be the type to rush out and go see this movie in theaters anyhow, just because the Fantastic Beasts movies aren't something that are a huge draw for me to need to go to the theaters. The original Harry Potter movies were. Star Wars movies are. You give me the right Marvel property and I'm there in a heartbeat. But when it comes to the Fantastic Beasts movies, I'll catch them when I catch them. And I will watch this one. I'm just not going to rush out to the theaters to see it, just because I'm just not as interested from a story perspective. But in terms of Johnny Depp's casting, and I think it's a bigger question that we need to start to ask ourselves. When do we start to cut people out entirely? You look at somebody like you take a look at somebody like, and this is a conveniently exclusively Canadian context sort of question here, but you look at somebody like Gian Gomeshi. I never want to hear from that guy ever again. You look at somebody like Louis C.K. And the sort of non-apology that he gave, and in terms of what his work actually was, and I don't know that I can really ever stomach his stand-up ever again. I haven't watched any of his old stuff. I haven't even Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee just got put up on Netflix. I haven't watched his episode of that, for crying out loud. But you look at somebody like Dan Harmon in terms of the apology that he gave, and I feel like, he's gotten the acceptance from Megan Ganz, and I feel like, he's not written off because he acted in a shitty way, but he has owned up to that. By a similar token, I'm not saying it's the same, but by a similar token, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard have very publicly said, let's move on. Everybody's cool. We've come to a settlement. We've come to an agreement. And I think it's hard to know where to draw the line. And honestly, I don't know where that line is myself. And you know what? If you have some insight, if you want to include because I honestly don't know, because I'm of the opinion personally that I'm willing to go see a Johnny Depp movie again, but if you don't feel the same way, I can completely respect that and understand your standpoint on it. Just, I don't know where we draw the line in terms of this person is not somebody that we can ever stomach to see have a career anymore, ever again. You know, I don't think it's funny because like his like Johnny Depp's crimes are really realistically not that much different than, say, Chris Brown's against Rihanna, but I do fundamentally feel different about Johnny Depp than I do about Chris Brown, and I don't know what that is. This is one of those things where I don't have the answers, and I'm not going to be able to tie this up in a nice bow. It's just interesting to think about and to sort of consider. So I guess I'm going to put this out to you. If you have a thought about this, email into the show, the John Dulong Show at gmail.com. How do you feel about it? Do you think that we should just cut out Johnny Depp and anybody who acts in the way that he did, or is there room for redemption? I lean towards there's room for redemption if redemption is truly being sought. And I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. Anyhow, we've gotten through some heavy topics. Let's get into some things more along the silly lines. Next up, the rules. They're back. Oh my God. The rules. Well, that's right. Everyone's favorite segment is back. It might just be my favorite segment. I don't know how you feel about it, but whatever. It's the John Dulong Show, not the insert your name here show. The rules are back for volume number 2 of the Rules for Calling Customer Service. It's edition number 4 overall. We had a really great set from Will on New Year's Day. Really great feedback for that. And don't worry, it's not like I'm only going to be doing the rules for calling customer service. That having been said, calling customer service is a rich area, one that I'm well equipped to deal with. It's ripe for the mining, so I'm going to take full advantage of the treasure trove that is afoot and give you volume 2 this time around. So here they are. More edicts for contacting customer service. Rule number 1 is use your words. So this is more for when you're emailing customer service than when you're calling them, particularly in a delivery scenario, okay? So here's the story when emailing customer service. What I need from you is what the problem is with, specific details, what you want done about the problem, and that's it. What I don't need is your full life story. So let's give a couple of examples here. Email number 1. Hi, this specific product arrived broken. I'd like a refund back to my credit card. See, that's perfect. I know exactly what happened. I know exactly which product was damaged. And I know exactly what you want done. Beautiful. Love it. Example number 2. Hello. I've been a customer of yours for the past 5 years. Let me tell you what happened when I received my order this week. It was a cold, brisk Tuesday, and the slightest hint of the coming snow was in the air, lingering with the chilling anticipation of the precipitation that was yet to come. I waited, perched in my foyer, for the appointed hour of my delivery, but alas, it came and went, and I was left wanting. I supped on but the crumbs and cheese that were left in my cupboards as my children cried out, "Where is my dairy, Father?" I wish that I was joking, but I've gotten basically that tenor and tone of email before in the past. I don't need your life story. I just need to know what the problem is. I don't really care about how you feel about the problem. I can assume that if you're contacting me, you're not happy. So finally, if I need a picture from you, I'm going to ask for it, okay? But the important thing is, and I blame smartphones for this to a certain extent, make sure that you attach the picture. Don't embed it in the email because it's just going to make everything more difficult for me to read and I'm just going to be pissed off. Okay? Just use your words. I don't need to see the broken product. I need to know that the product was broken. If I need to see the broken product, that's when you can take a picture. Slap some Instagram feeds on there. I don't give a shit. Instagram feeds? Are you kidding me? Filters, John, filters. Ugh, getting so upset here. Rule number 2. Consider, is this a phone call problem or an email problem? So here's the thing. I get it. I work at a call center. I don't ever want to pick up the phone unless I absolutely have to. I don't want to talk to another person. I do it for a living. So in my day-to-day life, if I can get by without calling to get customer service on the spot, I am so much happier. That being said, it's all about knowing what the proper method of contact to get the right response is. The thing about emails is they can be backing up, and it's not a situation where we can say, oh, John Smith is emailing in. I gotta answer that one. He just emailed me. I gotta get his. No, it comes in like a queue, just like any other phone call would. So if you email in with something that's time sensitive and you miss that time deadline as a result because you emailed, I really don't have any empathy for you. Sympathy or simpy for my professional wrestling fans out there. Also, as an aside, please consider whether or not you should contact customer service at all. So I've worked for a few companies in my time that people have an honest-to-God moral problem with. And I totally get it. I understand, and maybe in some situations I was actually on their side. End of the day, though, I'm a frontline customer service agent. I don't shape the social policy of the company that I represent. I'm just trying to make a paycheck. So don't call customer service and make my day awful because the company that, for the record, I probably don't even directly work for is ruining your day. You're ruining the wrong person's day by calling. So send a letter to the corporate office or just, don't bother me because I don't care. Okay. Rule number 3. Read the terms and conditions. Okay, and I understand nobody actually does read the terms and conditions, okay? So I read an article in The Atlantic that worked it out that if every person read everything that they were agreeing to in terms of reading, parsing, and understanding the privacy policies of every website that they went to, they'd need 76 8-hour working days in order to do so. It's not reasonable, and I understand that, and I totally am on board. But until we get past the system that end-user agreements being completely on you to read and understand, until that changes, you got to take a second to at least Control F for the particular issue that you're facing before you contact customer service. So, for example, if you use a Retail Me Not promo code and it doesn't work, don't fucking contact me because you probably weren't owed that promotion code. If it doesn't work, it's not my fault that it doesn't work. We didn't send it to you directly. You found it online. It's your fault. It's just, if you read the customer agreement, if you read the end user license agreement, the privacy policy, whatever, again, if you Control F it, you're probably going to find out exactly what you are owed and exactly what your responsibility is on your side. And it's going to save everybody a lot of headache. Please, just take at least that much responsibility for the thing that you technically agreed to. Number 4, everyone is a good customer. So this ties a bit into rule number 1 today. The phrase, I'm a really good customer, is really needless fluff, and it doesn't buy you an extra ounce of service from me. If you've got a problem, it's my job to solve it, regardless of whether or not you've been a customer of 10 years or 10 minutes or 10 seconds. I don't really care. Relatedly, as soon as you start trying to tell me how much money you've spent with the company over the years, I'm a $10,000 a year customer, as a means to try and demand something that you think you're owed, I want to tell you, deep down in my soul, that a $10,001 customer just called ahead of you and got what you're asking for, and that was the last one. And, that's how the money works. That's how your little system works. They spend more money than you, so they are worth more than you, right? No. Everyone's a good customer. It doesn't matter. Which brings us, by the way, to rule number 5. Don't be a dick. Hey, John, wasn't that rule 5 last time? Yes, it was. But it bears repeating, doesn't it?